Hi guys, this week we're going to begin talking about intervals of time. So we will be focusing on time. This is your week 5 packet. If you don't have it, make sure you stop the video and you look for it. But before we begin, I do want to talk about a little review. This should be from 3rd grade about what you have learned about time. So we have two different types of clocks. We have the analog and then we have the digital clock. Most of us have one of these at home. Remember, we have one in the classroom as well. And then if you notice, when we're talking about the digital clock, we can also think about grammar because we are using the two, what we call the colon. And the colon separates the hours from the minutes. So in this digital clock, it is called, we would say that the time is 7 o'clock. Why? Because o'clock means it's right at 7. So the big hand would be pointing to 12. And we'll prove that if we move over to the analog clock. If you notice that we have two hands, the little hand is called the hour hand. The big hand is called the minute hand. If you notice, the minute hand, it's pointing to 12. And the small hand is pointing to 7. So we can say that this analog clock reads 7 o'clock. Why? Because the big hand is pointing right at 12. Okay, so I do want to go to talk about your prior knowledge. Basically, the clock shows it's 7 o'clock. If you notice, both of the clocks were showing 7 o'clock. The short hand is the hour hand, which is what we just talked about. The long hand is the minute hand. And there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. This is very important. 1 hour equals 60 minutes. There's 60 seconds in 1 minute, and there's 24 hours in 1 day. So I'm going to go ahead and look right here. And I want you to look at the equivalent measures. This is from your STAR reference sheet. 1 year is the same thing as 12 months. Remember, in 1 year, we have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 12 months, 1 year. In 1 year, there's also 52 weeks. 1 week has 7 days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 1 day has 24 hours. 1 hour has 60 minutes. And 1 minute is the same thing as 60 seconds. Okay, so I want to go ahead and really quickly review right here where it says 1 day equals 24 hours. So this is 1 day. For example, today, which is going to be Monday. If you remember, 1 day is the same thing as saying 24 hours. And this is important, guys. When we start our day, or when the day starts, we start at 12 a.m. 12 o'clock a.m. Okay? After 12 o'clock a.m. comes 1 o'clock a.m. And then we have 2 o'clock a.m. And then we have 3 o'clock. And I'll make a little arrow pointing this way because it's going to go all the way to this way. So it's going to be 3 a.m. Sorry, let me put a clock. 3 o'clock a.m. And then we have 4 o'clock a.m. 5 o'clock a.m. 6 o'clock a.m., 7 o'clock a.m., 8 o'clock a.m., 9 o'clock a.m., 10 o'clock a.m., 11 o'clock a.m., and then we have 12 o'clock, but it turns into afternoon. So we can show that by putting p.m. 1 o'clock p.m., 2 o'clock p.m., 3 o'clock p.m., 4 o'clock p.m., 5 o'clock p.m. Now, the reason why I did this illustration is because I wanted you to see that once we hit the 12 mark, the pattern started repeating again. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. But what changed was the time of the day. AM is referring to the morning. When we talk about PM, we're making reference to the afternoon. Now, these are only some examples to help you understand this because we all do different things. But for example, Ms. Garcia is asleep between 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock in the morning. Ms. Garcia sleeps from all the way from the late afternoon to 5 o'clock in the morning. I am asleep. Those are the type of activities that I would do. But then at 5 o'clock, Ms. Garcia has to get up, and I do have to take a shower. I have to get ready for work. And at 6 o'clock, I am getting dressed to go to school. I am eating my breakfast, and I am driving so I can get to school by 7 a.m. At 7 a.m., we begin class. Well, not at 7, but at 7:20, we start class. We eat our breakfast. We start gathering our materials, and we begin with reading, correct? All the way until about 11:25. At 11:25, we start getting ready for lunch, and then it turns into 12 o'clock. And then we continue with the afternoon, which is math. And then at the end, by around 3 o'clock p.m., that's when we start getting our things ready to go home. So I wanted you to see this. And of course, it continues going, right? From here is 5 o'clock, but we still have 6 o'clock, and then we have 7 o'clock, and then we have 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And remember, these are all p.m. Okay? Something very important, and I'm going to zoom it in so that you can, if you remember this from 3rd grade, this is 1 a.m. and this is 2 a.m. Remember the time that Ms. Garcia is still asleep? Between these 2 hours, there is 60 minutes. So at 1 o'clock, you have to wait for 101, 102, 103, 104, all the way until you get to the next hour, which would be 2 a.m. Okay? And I hope this is a little review from 3rd grade. So I just wanted you to see that at 20.